We are currently in Bardney on the visitor moorings, and we are about to leave and head towards Lincoln. I think it's about 3 hours. There's 2 locks to go to, and the first lock is not far away from the moorings, so that'll be our first task of the cruise. It's another beautiful day on the River Witham. The moorings at Bardney are 2-day moorings, and there's a floating pontoon, which is quite typical of moorings on the Witham. Up the green bank and 20 minutes walk away is the village centre. It's about 8 miles from Bardney to Lincoln, and there are 2 locks for us to navigate through. This is the turn off to the first lock, which is appropriately called Bardney Lock. We've barely seen another moving boat since we left Boston, but when we arrive at the lock there's already a boat using it. As luck would have it, the boat's coming down, so when they leave we'll be able to go straight into the empty lock. There's some private moorings above the lock, and one of the moorers is helping this boat through. They very kindly hang on to give us a hand too, which is really lovely. There's a service point above the lock, so we decide to stop and use the facilities. Bardney Lock, just above the lock there's a water point, and there's also an Elsan and shower, and I think I'm going to take advantage of the shower opportunity. So a very quick stop at the Bardney Lock services. Managed to empty our Elsan, which is the first time we've been able to do that since Boston. And I had just a cheeky quick shower. It was a bit manky in that, but it did the job. Now we're heading to Lincoln. So we appear to be a self-steering boat at the moment. Beyond all of the private moorings are some very quiet visitor moorings. So, not sure if you can see it in the distance behind me, but up on a little hill about 10 kilometres away, because we've just seen the 10-kilometre mile marker, is Lincoln Cathedral. Yeah, slowly as we get closer it gets bigger. This is 5 Mile Bridge, which means we're 5 miles from Lincoln and the Hostite navigation. Here's another view of the cathedral as we approach Lincoln.
Every time I count my blessings, I count you first. Every time I count my blessings, I count you first.
And then, without us even noticing, the river starts showing signs that we're getting closer to the city. These are the Washington visitor moorings. Hey! Hello! It's lovely, yeah. Oh, and another moving boat. It's busy today. So we're just on the outskirts of Lincoln now, I think. Well, I know, because I can see the cathedral.
Yeah.
It's not a dot on the horizon anymore.
No, but you kind of realize as you get close to it that you're like, we're still about 2.5 kilometers away.
It's a big cathedral.
It's a big building. It's a substantial piece of rock and stone and human anguish and Lord knows how many stubbed toes.
And is it my imagination, or as we've got closer to the city, has the river got a bit more murky?
No, there's been more, like at first there was quite a bit of what's it called? Duckweed?
Yeah.
And then there was more and more of this dust. It's been, notably on the surface, so you can see it in front of us right now. It seems to be a green dust, but no idea what it is exactly. It's probably all the wheat and stuff from or like all the pollen from all these things beside us. So yeah, there's sort of 3 areas you can moor in. Near the locks on this side, downriver, in the, what's it called?
Brayford Pool.
The Brayford Pool, yeah.
That's private. Yeah, I think it's £16 a night.
It's like a marina.
Narrowboat Avalon told us.
Yeah. And then on the far side, by the university housing, student housing, there's another set of moorings and some services there.
But we're just going to try and get on the first ones, hopefully.
I think it's just going to the first available mooring, and if there isn't a first available mooring, then we go through and try and get to those ones and see if there is some room.
Yeah, and then pay it as a very last resort.
Yeah.
So we're at Lincoln Lock. I think this is where the Witham navigation ends, and we're about to go up onto the Fosdyke navigation. I also don't have a barbecue on these pontoon things because you'll burn a hole right through it. It's quite dangerous when you're jumping on and off with your boat. I've just seen the sign, it's actually called Stamp End Lock, which I knew, but I called it Lincoln Lock because it's a lock and it's in Lincoln.
Above the lock is a huge stretch of visitor moorings, and you can stay for 2 weeks. So we moor up and get to exploring the city.
There's one to snag.
We're under a tree. We moored near this tree so we could get shade.
It's been very shady, but it also can be a little bit,
Shady.
yeah. And autumn isn't far off because a bunch of the leaves have switched to brown and fallen in the last day or two.
Michael was really sad. I was in bed last night and Michael brought in 2 autumnal leaves, which is actually really depressing.
Yeah, it's like, oh,
So
the
anyway,
light bulb in the sky is going dark more often.
we're in Lincoln.
Yes, we've been in Lincoln. Lincoln is our new favorite place between Boston and Torksey. Yeah, George has had a bit of a tummy issue. It has cured up, but
Two trips to the vet.
2 trips to the vet, and it cost a wee bit, unfortunately. But mostly for him, it's cost several days of not being able to chase a ball.
Or have treats.
He's basically been on a bland food diet, and we've been waiting for him to kind of recover from his upset.
It is quite something when you're walking down the street and your dog does a poo and you photograph it while this car's going past, and then B, Michael takes George out this morning and comes back, and the first thing I said is, was there a poo? And then he tells me about how fabulous the poo was.
Because the thing is that George is 13 now, but at his age, it can dehydrate them pretty quick, and he was having some problems standing and a little bit of problems walking.
It was a bit
and
wobbly
everything.
and it was just really scary.
It was very distressing, so we had to get him into the vet. It was a bit of a stressful week, but most of it was really just waiting for his digestive system to get functional again.
I personally blame Skegness Sea.
Yeah, it could have been the water. It could have been probably the ocean water at Skegness. Might have been the ocean water he got when he was on the wash. Might also have been the miscellaneous things he snatched along the way. George likes to snarfle stuff off the ground. And it wouldn't have been all that distressing except for the fact that he was having some problems walking and was definitely a little bit on the dehydrated side, and we wanted to keep him from getting seriously on the dehydrated side.
Yeah, especially because it was so hot. So he's
Yeah.
been having chicken juice.
All the time, and extra water and everything, and rice and
Chicken juice is just the water that we poach the chicken in.
yeah.
It's not chicken juice.
No, nobody juiced a chicken.
We really like Lincoln. We've been here for quite a while.
I've been walking all over Lincoln.
Michael's discovered all sorts of favourite places, so Michael's going to give me a little tour.
Yeah, and I've been doing a bunch of exercise by going up to the steep hill, which is quite steep. We also found a bakery that I really like that is only open Saturday and Sunday mornings.
It's a bit outside. Well, you first found it in Boston because they had a stall in the market.
Yeah, Grain of Truth they're called. If you can catch their van out in one of the markets, or you walk over Saturday and Sunday morning, and it is a substantial walk, it is really worth it. They do some amazing stuff. Those guys make bread look like magic. So yeah, Grain of Truth Bakery is the thing that drew me to Lincoln, because we'd stopped in Boston and I'd met the guy that runs it, and really like the cardamom nuts. But it turns out that they deliver their cardamom nuts and their chocolate nuts and a few other items to Vestry Hall Coffee, which is a shop that I found here, and they do a really nice chai latte and a really nice hot chocolate. And they also deliver to the bookstore over here. So today I'm going to stop in at the bookstore to get one. So this is Lark, which is a small bookshop that has these nice little editions of kids' books on the first floor and some crafts and stuff. And for reasons of just combining everything together, they've also got a cafe and they've got some of the baked goods. Do you want anything if they do? Yeah, no. So today is not the day they get delivery from Grain of Truth, and the delivery they get today from Vines isn't here.
Are you running?
Yeah. Do you want me to take a video of running up? How do you want me to do it? Selfie style or pointing forward? So I'm already recording. Are you joining me up there? So I'm waiting at the top. I could come back, get to the coffee shop, come down and meet you at the bottom, because you'll only have made it 2-3 steps. Yeah? Okay. All right. There's the cathedral. There's the castle. And there's the route back down again.
George and I are just walking. Much more sensible.
And here comes my high-speed dog, dragging my high-speed wife. I need to speed this one up. Steps. Carousel. Chocolateria. Chocolates. I don't know how to. Chocolaterie. That makes sense. Chocolaterie.
Should we go in?
Yes. So one dark marzipan, one mocha marzipan, and a dark salted caramel. I'm gonna get one of the orange slices. Those are actually one of my favorites.
There's jousting in the castle tomorrow.
Do we get to participate? So one of the sort of silly things I do is I read the news on this thing called Y Combinator. Somebody put a YouTube video on in which this woman decided to 3D print a Roman dodecahedron. As I came into Lincoln Museum, what do they have on display but a Roman dodecahedron? It's been found by archaeologists and nobody knows what it's for. They're precision casts, so they must have been an expensive item. So the archaeologists are like, oh, it's a grave good, it's a religious article, it was used in some sort of ritual. And there's other people who are like, no, it's a sex toy, or maybe it's a weapon. But then this group of people who are knitters are like, no, I'm pretty sure it's used for making these tubes. And so this video came out that shows a couple of different ways of using this device with a simple piece of wood that is slightly tapered, and then you essentially just weave around the bottom set of knobs, and that allows you to make a tube of interwoven wool or silver or gold that can then be extruded out to make jewelry or essentially a sort of very fancy rope. I watched the video and I'm like, I'm convinced that's it. That's a solution. There we have it. The world famous Norton Disney dodecahedron. I've got this lovely sign explaining that it was featured on BBC Two's Digging for Britain. It's a fascinating knitting tool. Makes you think
Those Romans were pretty good at lost wax casting. Oh, they're nice enough to let you try on a Roman shield and helmet. That's good fun. Although it turns out that this Roman had smaller head than me by a long shot. It's actually quite painful. And then here we have a 2,500-year-old narrowboat found in the River Witham. And they also let you put on, if it fits, the helmet of Sir Geoffrey Luttrell, who also had a smaller head than me, or else his nose would be broken the moment somebody pushed on this thing. I mean, I think it's relatively fashionable, but I also wouldn't want to have the big thing up there if I ever fell off a horse. So, yeah, that's kind of the quick walking tour. We've only shown you a tiny bit of what is really the cultural quarter of Lincoln.
There's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Recommend staying in Lincoln a lot.
You know, there was a bit of noise a couple of times, but nothing major when we were on the boat.
Considering like the road we're on and by the car park, like the mooring isn't ideal, and also dog walking isn't ideal. Michael's about to walk George to the Arboretum, so that
there isn't kind of an easy to get to short walk to a good place to throw a ball for a dog that is mad about running after balls.
there's every shop you could possibly want.
Yeah. I'm going to take George to the Arboretum. You're going to walk over to the Little.
Yeah.
And get a Lottle. So that's it.
Yeah.
That's Lincoln.
Well, till you go to the bakery tomorrow.
Yeah, till I walk to the bakery tomorrow. And then that's Lincoln. And then we're going to Saxelby. Are you enjoying the Arboretum, George? Well, that's a lot of enjoyment in the Arboretum. It's just about dawn, and I'm probably about a mile on the boat, and I'm walking to 5 Mile Bridge, which is 5 miles from the beginning of the Fostag, along with them, along this, which I think is the old railway track. Now the question is, what would possess somebody to get up at dawn to walk 5 miles away from Lincoln, to walk 4.8 miles back to Lincoln in order to get to a bakery? Her letter K just says bread cheese here, so if you've come here and you found bread cheese, you're in the right place, because over there is Grain of Truth Bakery and the wee little Grain of Truth van, which is what shows up at the markets and stuff. Yeah, hopefully they've got some cardamom nuts that I can get one of. Okay, set the box.
It's like a side of pastry.
Okay, you know you've found something good, especially a bakery, when you arrive at just before 9 o'clock and there's already the beginnings of a line, and by the time you've gotten to the front and bought your thing, there's quite a line. I've gotten a lovely cardamom roll. That's my favorite thing, and turns out on Sundays they have the jalapeno roll thing, so I might have to come back tomorrow just to have one sinful last one of those. And because I've walked so many miles, I think I've also allowed myself for today a Marmite croissant. Right, so I found this little bench beside a place called Castellet Engineering, which is thankfully closed today. This is the Marmite croissant. This guy, though, is the reason why I came. This is their cardamom roll, cardamom knot. They also do a chocolate knot. So, I know this is going to be video's turned into like a commercial for these guys, because they haven't sponsored me. They haven't sponsored the videos. I paid for every bit. It's just a croissant with a bit of Marmite in it. But I've had croissants in Paris. I've had croissants like around the world. And okay, a Paris croissant is a different thing than this. But these guys are gods at bread. So there's a part of me that definitely doesn't like the idea of being seen to be eating things. But this. This is the fresh cardamom nut. Fresh. It's like these guys should found a religion.
So that's the end of the vlog, and we didn't record an outro, so apologies for that. But thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Every time I count my blessings, I count you first. Every time I count my blessings, I count you first.
There we go. We have a bag of the most expensive dog poo ever. Okay, so because
Your hat's being a bit funny.
I don't know why my hat is so ironic, but it's decided to be a bit funny. Excellent. There is a bit of police activity in Lincoln. Cardamom knots. Have you got that face tracking thing to stop tracking?
No, I thought you just did this. Recenter.
Carousel chocolate career. Hello, little one. Hello. That's very nice. Say hello, George. And they also let you put on. Yes, it's like, 2,000 years from now, like traffic cones in the museum being like, this was a religious thing and they worshipped the great conical god of red, and yeah.
Bloody face track.
It's found me. It's got me. It's not letting go. One of these days I'd like to have stopped at Maisie Moo, but I can't get an ice cream new. Trying to do bad poetry, you see. Because all I do is make fun of me. Like you take a sheep's stomach and you fill it up with oats and everything and it's a haggis, but if you fill it up with air, it's bagpipes. Right? Like, that guy's playing his haggis. Okay, well done, George. You found your way to the center of the maze. Now, can we get out of here again? You keen on a shortcut? That's a shortcut, George. You shortcut it, George. I think we found it, George. We're not lost forever in the depths of the labyrinth with the Minotaur and the goblins and David Bowie.
I'm afraid I might have given up. I'm afraid I'm running.